Let's face it, at some point in life, we've all encountered disrespect. Whether it's a dismissive comment, a rude gesture, or just that tone, you know the one. It can throw us off balance, and let's be honest, dealing with it is not exactly on our list of favorite things. For many, recognizing disrespect can feel like trying to catch the wind. It's there but hard to pin down. Even when you do recognize it, knowing how to respond can feel even trickier. Should you speak up? Let it slide? Call in reinforcements? In today's video, we're diving into practical ways you can respond to disrespect with poise and strength without losing your cool. We're taking inspiration from the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy to show you how to handle these situations like a true master of self-control. And hey, if you'd like me to make a video breaking down the different types of disrespect, just leave a comment below. But for now, let's focus on taking back your peace, holding your head high, responding to disrespect in a way that leaves them speechless. Ready? Let's jump in. One of the first things I'm going to say, and it's probably one of the hardest, is staying calm. Remaining calm in the face of disrespect isn't just a challenge. It's a testament to your emotional strength. Disrespect can manifest in countless ways. A cutting comment, a dismissive gesture, outright rudeness. These moments are deeply painful, but they also provide an opportunity to show composure and self-control. Take Linda's story as an example. Linda was a dedicated community leader, someone who always went above and beyond to support her neighborhood. During a local meeting, where she proposed a well-thought-out plan to improve the community, a fellow attendee interrupted her mid-sentence with a sneering remark. "Do you even understand what this community really needs?" The words cut deeply. Linda felt the sting of disrespect and the urge to snap back. But instead of letting her emotions take over, she paused, took a breath, and responded with poise. With a calm tone, she replied, "Thank you for sharing your concerns. I'm here to collaborate and would love to hear your suggestions on how we can move forward." Her response not only diffused the tension but also redirected the focus of the meeting toward constructive dialogue. By staying calm, Linda maintained her dignity, kept the conversation productive. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy. While you can't control how others act, you have complete control over your reaction. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Linda didn't let the disrespect define her. Instead, she used it as an opportunity to rise above and demonstrate her character. What you want to do is recognize when your uncomfortable feelings are coming to the surface. Staying calm isn't just about keeping your emotions in check. It's about recognizing when those uncomfortable feelings arise and learning to process them in a healthy way. Stoic philosophy teaches us that before you can resolve any conflict with others, you must first address the conflicts within yourself. Take the example of Mr. Richard. Mr. Richard was a retired gentleman who frequently visited a local coffee shop to enjoy his peaceful mornings. One day, as he waited in line to place his order, a young man rudely cut in front of him, without a word of apology. Mr. Richard felt disrespected. His dignity bruised. A wave of frustration began to build. He couldn't shake the feeling that his age had made him invisible to others. But instead of reacting immediately, Mr. Richard chose a different path. He stepped aside. He took a deep breath. He reminded himself that not every rude action required his emotional investment. Later that day, at home, Mr. Richard took time to reflect. He jotted down his thoughts in a journal, exploring why the incident had upset him so deeply. He realized that his anger wasn't solely about the young man's behavior, but also stemmed from a broader frustration with the lack of patience often shown toward older adults. By confronting these feelings privately, he was able to process them without letting the incident define his day. The next morning, Mr. Richard returned to the coffee shop and calmly suggested to the staff that they consider creating a priority line for seniors. Instead of criticizing, he shared his perspective constructively, raising awareness about an issue while fostering positive change in his community. No outburst, no unnecessary conflict, just wisdom, composure, and self-respect. The lesson: blaming others for how you feel makes you dependent on their actions for your emotional well-being. No one else is responsible for making you feel better. That is a task for yourself. When you process your emotions effectively, you regain control, not only of the situation but also of your inner strength. How you communicate your boundaries matters. Communication is the bridge between understanding and healing. When you're dealing with disrespect, the key is to address the behavior without making it personal. Take the story of Karen, a retired woman living peacefully in her neighborhood. One day, her neighbor, a younger woman who had recently moved in, loudly criticized her over something trivial. Karen's tree was casting a shadow on the neighbor's yard. But the remarks didn't stop there. Her neighbor went on to insinuate that Karen was out of touch, even suggesting she should consider selling her house. Those words felt like a dagger to Karen's heart. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her mind swirled with questions. Am I truly becoming a burden? Do I no longer belong here? But Karen chose a different path. Instead of letting negativity fester, she used Stoic philosophy to regain control. She reflected first instead of reacting emotionally. She reminded herself that her value isn't dictated by someone else's opinion. The next day, she calmly approached her neighbor. She expressed how the remarks had hurt her and suggested they have a constructive conversation instead of unwarranted criticism. By addressing the specific issue, without attacking her neighbor personally, Karen set a boundary while maintaining her dignity. Whether or not her neighbor's attitude changed immediately didn't matter. Karen had done her part. She stood up for herself. She set a clear boundary. Now let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that separate what you will accept and what you won't. But these lines only hold meaning when you define them yourself. No one else can set your boundaries for you. They come from your sense of self-worth and how much you value yourself. When you know your boundaries, you protect your mental health. Show others that you respect yourself. The key is understanding that boundaries aren't about controlling others. They're about managing yourself and your relationships with them. Consider the story of Mrs. Margaret. Mrs. Margaret was a 65-year-old widow living in a peaceful neighborhood. After years of putting her family first, she finally decided to spend time on herself, learning to paint and joining a book club. However, her young neighbor, Emily, frequently dropped off her child unannounced, sometimes without even asking. At first, Margaret found it hard to say no. She didn't want to create tension, but as the requests became a burden, she realized she was sacrificing her personal goals just to please someone else. Margaret understood that the issue wasn't Emily. It was her own lack of clear boundaries. So, she decided to have an honest conversation. Margaret gently explained that while she adored Emily's child, she couldn't commit to last-minute babysitting without prior notice. She also suggested that Emily consider other childcare options for unexpected situations. The outcome? Emily understood and began respecting Margaret's time. Margaret reclaimed her peace and continued pursuing her passions. She learned that setting boundaries doesn't mean rejecting people, it means respecting herself. The lesson: boundaries aren't about forcing others to respect you. They're about showing respect for yourself. When you're clear about what's acceptable and what isn't, you'll feel freer in your relationships. You'll be less affected by unwanted behavior. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while we can't control how others treat us, we can control how we respond. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors with locks. You decide who enters and under what conditions. When someone disregards your boundaries, it's not your failure. It's a reminder to strengthen your resolve. Setting boundaries is like cultivating a beautiful garden. You must prune invasive plants. Choose the flowers you want to nurture. Ensure the fence is strong enough to protect your space. This not only makes your garden flourish, but also signals to others that this is a space of value, deserving of care and respect. Boundaries are an expression of freedom and self-worth. Stay firm in what you know you deserve. Don't be afraid to say no when needed to protect yourself. Clarity in your boundaries brings peace, and that peace is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Final tip: embrace silence as your answer. Have you ever realized that silence can be your greatest strength? When someone disrespects you, the most powerful response might not be a sharp comeback, a heated argument. Instead, it's choosing to say nothing at all. Silence isn't weakness. It's a deliberate and powerful choice. It's a way to preserve your inner peace, maintain control over the situation. People who disrespect others often expect a reaction, a fight, a defense, or at least a bit of discomfort to fuel their egos. But when you choose silence, you send a clear message: I won't waste my energy on this. Your silence forces them to sit alone with their behavior, without any fire to fuel their negativity. Let me share a story about Grace. Grace, a dear friend of mine, attended a family gathering. During dinner, she became the target of a snide remark from a relative who mocked her decision to take yoga classes instead of spending more time with family. Instead of responding or defending her choices, Grace simply, offering a soft smile, shifted her attention elsewhere. The room grew uncomfortably quiet. The relatives, expecting a reaction, suddenly lost their steam. Grace's silence not only preserved her peace, but also subtly encouraged her relatives to reflect on their behavior. Why does silence work? You refuse to engage in negativity. You show that your peace matters more than someone else's criticism. You send a message that their words have no power over you. This isn't avoidance or passivity. It's a bold statement. I won't let you dictate how I feel. I know choosing silence can be hard. I've been there. I used to think that staying quiet would make me appear weak. But over time, I realized every time I reacted, I felt drained. Every time I stayed silent, I felt stronger, as if I was reclaiming a part of myself. So here's my challenge to you. The next time someone disrespects you, try this new approach. 1. Take a deep breath. 2. Stay calm. 3. Say nothing. Just look at them. Let your silence do all the talking. You'll be surprised at how it unsettles them and how freeing it feels for you. Remember this: sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to say nothing at all. Silence is your strength, your way of protecting your dignity and peace. And trust me, it speaks louder than words ever could. Wrapping up, how to handle disrespect without losing yourself. We've explored how to handle disrespect without losing your sense of self. How you respond not only reflects your composure but defines who you are. Silence, calmness, clear boundaries. These are your ultimate weapons. So next time someone tries to rattle you, don't let them win. Take a deep breath. Apply what you've learned. Remind yourself that respect starts with how you treat yourself. Now it's your turn. Comment below: I handle them. Let's see who's ready to master the art of handling disrespect with wisdom and poise. Like this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe for more Stoic lessons. And share this with someone who needs to know that respect is non-negotiable. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.